Hello. So, it's been a while since we've talked about this idea of renewing the mind and setting our thoughts in the right direction and, in a sense, taking care of ourselves. And this has been a up and down roller coaster journey for me personally, as far as I'm just trying to set my thoughts on the things that are of God and not wearing my seatbelt and my truck is on. We'll take care of that real quick. This is just how life goes, isn't it? Speaking of not being distracted by things making noise and beeping like crazy, but no, this idea of putting our thoughts away, not seeking after the fleshly things, but after the spiritual things, which is what we're talking about in Galatians if you're listening to the Driving Thoughts series. But in this renewing, the journey for a renewed mind, it's a little bit deeper than that, and we're just trying to explore some different passages as far as what is it with the way we think or the way we process things that cause us to stumble in a way. And we've looked at lots of just various things and the ideas of just that struggle of the daily thought, the daily grind of life, and how we can easily just get sucked down into things. But today we're going to look at Proverbs 19:8, and it's a really interesting verse, and it's the one who acquires wisdom loves his soul, and the one who preserves understanding will prosper. And there's lots of different ways for all of this, but that first one, who acquires wisdom, that person is, in a sense, loving themselves not in a selfish way, but in a taking care of yourself kind of a way, right? So if we're acquiring wisdom, which that's not always knowledge, but oftentimes knowledge and wisdom go hand in hand. But wisdom is more so the idea of knowing what to do and when to do it, not just knowing what something is. It's knowing how to act in a proper situation, or in a sense even really so knowing when to yield our own desires for others. But in the context of all this, is that the one who acquires wisdom loves his soul. And I was looking at that and thinking, man, it sounds very self-serving, but and again, in a way it is, because we have to take care of ourselves to be able to function properly. So if we're acquiring wisdom and we're tending our soul, even if you want to think about it that way, making sure that we are not going down this wrong path, then we can be used by God in a broader and deeper way than if we just try to do it ourselves. And that's kind of how I'm thinking about it, is this idea of I have to maintain my spiritual discipline and my spiritual walk, my spiritual journey, so that I can then love my wife well, so that I can love my kids well, so that I can love those around me well, so that I can speak truth to my neighbors and to those in need of the truth. But if I am not feeding myself spiritual wisdom, then what do I have to give? In a lot of ways, it's this idea of you can't teach or train something that you don't know anything about. You can't give away something that you don't have. You can't impart wisdom on something that you know nothing of. And so if I am caring for myself in a sense of growing in my faith and my love and my devotion to Christ, then the wisdom I gain through that will help me in every other step of life. And in the process of all that, my mind is now focused on the proper things. And then the second part of that, the one who preserves understanding will prosper. And this is where I struggle a lot of this idea. Like that's almost a guaranteed prosper that's put at the end there. Now that doesn't mean prosper financially, but it means, I think, prospering in the sight of God, that he's going to continue to bless you as you are walking the righteous path. And if we're preserving understanding, we are seeking knowledge, we're acquiring knowledge and wisdom so that we can then preserve the truth of who he is. And if we're preserving the truth of who he is, then he's going to work in and through us, and we will prosper in a spiritual sense. Again, does not mean that if we are following the check boxes and doing all the right things, that all of a sudden we're going to be wealthy. No, that's not this kind of prosper. That's not what this means. And again, but this guarantee from God that we are His, and if we are, again, seeking His wisdom, His understanding, His will, doing the things that are of Him, naturally things are going to come out of that. And we can see that happens, right? Now, again, that doesn't mean life is perfect, and that doesn't mean that every choice we make is going to end up for our benefit, but it will end up for the prosperity of who Christ is. It'll end up for the benefit and the glory of God in the end. And I think that's the prosperity we should all be seeking after, is the glory of God, not the glory of self. Because anytime you hear anyone say that, God wants your best life now type of a mentality, and I am throwing Joel Osteen out there. Again, I've talked against him many, many times. That type of mentality, the T.D. Jakes, the Kenneth Copelands, all of these people, that is a self-centered prosperity. That is not the gospel of Christ. It is all about them and how they are good and how they can progress. What I'm saying here, and what I continue to say, is we are sinners saved only by the grace of Christ and covered by His blood. We are redeemed by Him. We are purchased by Him. And because of that, we are living our lives to make Him known. So that is the wisdom and the understanding that we will see prosper, is that of Christ, not of self. And go read again the book of Galatians. It's just all over this of giving up self for Christ, giving up my desires for Christ, giving up my thoughts for Christ, giving up what I think is prosperity for the glory of Christ. So that's a line in there that we have to make sure we're following properly. So I encourage you to seek wisdom, to preserve true understanding of who Christ is, so that we can make Him known. And in the practical day-to-day things, that means we are acquiring wisdom that is of God, not of man. And so the only way to do that is to spend time with Him, which, full disclosure, the last few weeks, I've been doing a lousy job of that. And that's just me trying to be honest right now with myself, but also just to say, I need to start seeking and acquiring the wisdom again and get back on track with my process of trying to renew how my mind is functioning and working, so that I am not stuck in the fleshly things, but I am growing in the spiritual things. So that's a challenge. If you are not acquiring the wisdom of God, I challenge you to seek that out, and drop me a line if you need anything, and we can talk. All the contact information's on the website, and yeah, I appreciate everybody, and we'll keep journeying together through all of this, and thanks for coming along. Take care. Bye.